is Sun Sebastian Stan. Everybody have a great time. Enjoy yourself. There's nobody better. And like he just told me, this is his favorite thing to do.
It's true.
Enjoy.
It always feels so much more low key, you know, than like the craziness.
We'll just get started right away, and I think, yeah, I'm gonna do questions table by table, like one, and then we'll go around. If your table doesn't have one, then I'll move on to the next table. So
Always follow me.
somebody, we'll start with this table. Anybody have a question?
Hey Sebastian.
Hi.
I'm Yolanda from Atlanta. I met you last year in Phoenix on my birthday.
Oh. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Aside from Bucky, because I assume that's your favorite character that you played, who was really the best character you've ever played?
Well, it's funny. I came in today. I just walked into and the security guard didn't even. He was like, Bucky. He didn't even. I had no name. Yeah. What? Yes. I don't know. I've sort of enjoyed. I can't say there's one thing I've done that I didn't enjoy. No, that's not true. There might have been a couple things like earlier on where I was just really trying to get a job and make a living, and that didn't seem like necessarily the part I wanted to play. But I've been pretty lucky. Like I feel like everything I've ended up doing, I've enjoyed it and I've explored it. So they're all different situations. I like this last thing that I did for Netflix, that Devil All the Time. That was interesting. I love that show, Kings. That was always a lot of fun for me. I grew up a lot on that show, and then the political animals one. They were very like learning lessons, for me at the time. So, yeah, maybe.
Oh, we're gonna move on to and we'll go back around. Yeah. Anybody from this table?
Do you believe in any superstition?
Do I believe in superstition? I'm very superstitious, but I don't know if it's superstitious or it's just OCD. Like I have to cross myself 3 times and tap the plane 3 times before I get on the plane. Is that superstition?
Yeah, of course.
But superstition is what is superstition?
Anybody have a better? In my mind, but I think I could be wrong on what it is. Do you have a?
My mom, when she used to comb my hair, if she drops the comb, she has to step on it before she puts it back in my hair.
There was bad luck.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's OCD.
It's ritual that makes you feel better.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. My therapist, okay, like the greatest thing, he always makes me laugh, is like, we'll talk, whatever, then I'll like knock on wood 3 times, and he'll just go. I'm like, what? And he goes, oh, it's funny. It's not gonna do anything. And I'm like, oh, right. I don't know, if it makes you feel better, do it.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody from this table?
You go first.
I have a question. Do you have any favorite memories from Downey Village?
No.
I had to think to remember what that is. Like I almost thought, like you said, Downton Abbey, and I was like, yeah, Downey Village, like Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. Before when you go like lunch with him or something, did you ever?
It was the soap. And the yes, I went there one time. I was invited for lunch. I think I had like a green juice. I don't, I didn't have that again. And I asked him. I was like, I'm gonna go use the restroom, and he was like, no, just go in the trailer. And I was like, okay. And I walked in that trailer, and it was like being on the Titanic. Literally, like everything. I could still smell the wood. Like it was just so pristine. I couldn't. Yeah, and I remember the soap being really great, and then there was moisturizer, and it's like a lot of things to,
Thank you.
We'll go back to this table. No? No. There we go.
You probably don't remember because it was a couple of years
ago and you do so much stuff, but do you...
People say I have a memory problem.
Do you remember when you were filming I, Tonya? It was in a mall, and they had it set up to look like the airport. Do you remember the day the light bulb fell out of the ceiling?
Are you sure I was there though for that?
I couldn't understand it, but I was there, I was an extra. We were standing, I don't know, making people flip apart.
Maybe. I remember that mall. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe they turned this into a
I don't know.
1980s airport.
I remember that particular day.
I remember that day, but I don't remember the light bulb. I don't remember that. Maybe it fell on me.
Yeah.
I found Destroyer a really intriguing film. It was such a homage to crime films of the 70s and 80s, but with the role switch. So very much Nicole Kidman was very much playing that Clint Eastwood role, and she was very much to Sonia Rockwell. What attracted you to that film, and did it turn out like you thought it would do?
Oh yeah, I love that experience. It was so fun and it was so different and great. And that probably goes back to your question. You know, I just it was working with her, and you know, I haven't been a fan of hers for years growing up and stuff. And then also the director was unbelievable. I mean, you know, figures, right? A woman will always give you better direction, by the way. But she was like strong. She knew what she wanted, and she communicated that to me really well. And I felt like I could, you know, calm down and sort of just follow her lead. And I felt like I did, like, for me it was a very different thing than I usually kind of end up doing. And so it was just that kind of group of people. I wish more, you know, I wish more people had seen that movie. I wish that movie had gotten more love, but you know, this is the business, so we're.
It was a good film.
But thank you for seeing it. Yeah.
It's a good thing that you can take orders from a woman.
Anytime. You understand how I'm okay with that, like, beyond.
How has your view of like the human condition changed since you've become famous?
My view of the human condition?
Like how your view has changed since you were younger, to like growing in the industry, to how we changed and social media, all that good stuff. Just how it changed your view.
Oh, there's so much happening. Look, I don't know, okay? Like, here's the thing, like, you know, you read all these books and everything, and like, they always say, like, the greatest thing you gotta admit is like that sometimes you just don't know. Like, it's enough to just go like, I'm doing my best, like, I don't really know, I don't have it figured out, you know, like, and that's a good place to start at, right? So, from there, and in terms of like human condition, I mean, like, you know, look, I mean, the world is really bleak, you know, like, this is, I mean, there's an argument to be made that, you know, if you look back in history, I mean, there's some terrible things that have happened, right? And you sort of think, like, how did our parents or our other generations get through that Vietnam War, like, you know, civil rights movement, like all these crazy things that have happened already somehow, you know, Hitler, I mean, like, we've gotten through some things, right? So there's a little bit of, and I don't even know if that provides any relief or whatever. I mean, maybe perspective, you know, to sort of like kind of keep hope that we're gonna be okay. But, I mean, a really smart director who's very famous and who I've always respected, and I don't even want to, you know, I'm going to not say his name, but said to me something very interesting that stuck with me. It's like, human beings are really good at making bad ideas happen quicker. You know, and it's like that's kind of how I feel about AI. And artificial intelligence and things like that, you know, and it's like the idea, like he and I we started talking about it, like, is that really going to help us in any way, shape, or form? Like, really? I mean, sure, it's going to make things easier, but like, I was at the airport in Newark trying to come here, and I was trying to buy emergency, and I couldn't even do it with a person. I had to go to this thing and like scan it, whatever, and It's like everywhere I go to get Wi-Fi, there's like some cookies I gotta accept, you know, and then like I turn my phone on, I get here and they're like advertising me the thing I bought at Newark. And I'm going like, well, what control do I have about it? You know, and so it's like, and we forget. So anyway, okay, this is a very difficult question, you know, because it's easy to go down the path. I think you got to educate yourself to know like what world we're in right now and what's happening, you know, and we have to kind of like, you know, the thing about social media that scares me so much is like there's no repercussion anymore. Like, you know, when you were a kid, okay, and you're on a it's like a giant playground full of crazy people that have no restrictions whatsoever. Like, if you were used to be on a playground with like a little kid, right, and like, you know, he took your toy and you pushed the kid and the kid started to cry, and you were like, you know what, you're this, and the kid was crying, like you would see the kid to cry, and then you would feel like you would process that and have a reaction to it and go, oh, you know what? I feel bad. I'm sorry. Like we don't have any of that. There's not. You're feeling an emotion at a certain point in time and you go, that's how I feel. And it's out there and it's gone. And then 10 minutes later, you're done with that emotion. You're not angry anymore. You felt that, but that thing lives on forever. And then on the other side, somebody can't even process that you've already moved on to 50,000 other emotions anyway. So it's like you can't quite take things online to be literal, you know, at any point in time, but we could go on forever. Sorry.
Good question. Back table. We'll go with you for, right, yeah.
For I, Tanya, it was a brilliant movie. Everybody was great. And I wanted to know, how was it playing Jeff? How was it like taking on that kind of role?
I mean, again, it was a great learning lesson for me in a lot of ways. I mean, I think it was very difficult for numerous reasons. You know, I mean, you have to understand. I got to see that Joker movie. Yeah. I mean, like, you have to understand why people are doing why they're doing what they're doing, you know, and it's very difficult sometimes when you really don't see eye to eye, when you can't understand that yourself, you know, and like, so then it becomes like a case study. You're like, okay, I'm like studying this like a subject, and I'm trying to understand what leads to what, you know, and a lot of that movie, even though there was a lot of comedy in it, had very serious issues involved, and it's funny because sometimes you feel, or at least like, you know, I mean, it made me feel more conscious of, I guess, how we relate, period. You know, I mean, those guys were extreme. That relationship was an extreme example. You know, they both had very specific backgrounds that they came from, and then, you know, they somehow like still drew each other, right? So it's like then you ask yourself like, well, why am I attracting these kinds of people in my life? You know, why am I attracted to this kind of person? You know, who's actually hurting me? You know, and why do I keep going back to that person, you know, over and over again? And where does that come from? You know, and then you peel back the layers and you realize, well, that's the kind of thing that you've always thought felt good, actually, when you were little and you didn't really have, you know, develop all these things. And so, anyway, but it was, I guess it was hard. It was interesting.
It was great.
But thank you.
Go ahead. Oh, you? Yeah.
Is that the one?
Yeah. Yep.
Hi, Sebastian, how are you?
Good, how are you?
All right, next one.
Very present, son. What?
Oh, you said something, I didn't hear it.
No, I just said I'm here. Don't worry.
So my question is, it's kind of hard to word because it's like, I don't know, it's kind of a lot, but, so I'm a nursing school student and recently I did a project on mental health. And that's something that's super important to me because I was in the military and I suffered from PTSD like on my way out. So it's something that now outside of the military I really advocate for. And I think that what people like so much about the roles that you do or what they can Bucky, for example, is that characters like that you portray really give them hope when meeting you as a person. You're just so sweet and kind.
Wow.
You seem like it, at least.
No, I just,
My question to you
yeah.
is that, what would you give, what advice would you give to people who are silently suffering that can't, that don't know how to open up, that they need to hear something, maybe from you or maybe.
When you say silently suffering, like, is it like you feel like you can't talk to anybody about it? Is it like a sense of, shame about the things you feel? Is it like a sense of, is it all just like I can't really label what's happening with me right now? I'm having this experience. Like, what does that mean for you?
Well, it's different for everyone, because for me, whenever I was talking about it, for me it was PTSD, it was generalized anxiety disorder, it was stuff like that. But when I opened up to my peers, it turns out, well, we had another student who suffers from generalized anxiety, and then another two students who are mothers and suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, from postpartum disorder. But just like for people who are on Tumblr or people who are on social media who really look forward to seeing your positive messages, and just from not just you, but from the people that they admire so much, if you can give like a really positive, uplifting message that would get back to them. Like, what would you say for people, like, for instance, with suicidal ideation or something like that? I'm sorry, that's really serious.
No. That's just but it's real, and there's nothing like we can't apologize for that. You know what I mean? It's just I hear you, and I mean the first thing that comes to my head, like when I'm listening to you, again, it just, take it or leave it, like I'm just trying to find my way too, right? So I don't have the answer, but what I can relate to what you said is definitely that kind of sense of, shame about like sharing certain things you're feeling, and I mean, I think I can relate to that. Anybody can relate to that, you feel like even anxiety, by the way, sometimes like what breeds more anxiety is like you being out in public and thinking you're feeling anxious and something's going to happen, and then you're going to have like this breakdown and everyone's going to see it, and you're going to be like the crazy person and the outcast and like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing. You know what I mean? And then that escalates it even more and more and more. And but I don't know. I feel like we have to be able to. You have to communicate. You have to try to communicate in some way. I think it's, when you're trying to take on something on your own, that's a little bit beyond you. It's just, it's gonna. I think it's really, really difficult. I don't know. I mean, I just know that when I'm feeling off, I try to call a friend. I call somebody that I know, in some way that's gonna remind me outside of my head of whatever's going on. I mean, there's plenty of times where you have to build that awareness where sort of like, you're going like, oh, this is happening to me, but it isn't really me. You know what I mean? Like, this is an experience I'm having right now. Like, it's really just like that, as opposed to, but trauma is so difficult and takes years, and, you have to just kind of, I think, reach out for help when you're thinking it, when you're feeling it. I don't know. I don't know if that's helpful at all. I mean, I gotta keep thinking about that.
Hi, Sebastian. I got a lighter question for you. So, what's your typical Starbucks order, and what do you think?
Starbucks is like it's like an old friend, I just go. I mean, now they've gotten really crazy with the cold brews and stuff, But like, I just go for regular coffee with like some almond milk, and yeah, that's kind of what You're trying to ask me what Bucky would order at Starbucks? You know, somehow I take him to be like a 4 shots of espresso kind of thing. Yeah. It's interesting because some of those things are still going to be dealt with, by the way, with that character, the ones we were talking about in this next phase. You know, so I wonder how that's going to land. Yeah.
All right, and back to this table. We'll go right there.
I don't want to solve a wound or anything, but is there any movement or progress with Beat the Reaper or like kind of?
Oh boy, I mean, you know, it's so hard. I thank you for remembering that. Is it because did you read that book? Yeah. Okay, all right. So you saw like what kind of project it
Well, I
is.
didn't know where it was going at first because I thought, oh no, this is too much like Bucky, and then it got really great.
Yeah, it's twisted. It's different. Yeah. It's tough. I've been trying to find like the right kind of director for it, but it's one of those things where you know, it's out of my hands. It's at a studio and they have to decide whether or not they want to make it. You know, and the thing was when we got very close to it, it's just the budget got too high and but it's one of those things now where you kind of like, that's a movie where you don't know if is it easier just to make it like at Netflix or on HBO, you know, is it easier to just stream it? Is it easier than to just, you know, so I think unfortunately that's one of those projects that kind of like will have, hopefully I won't get too old to not be able to do it, you know, but I think we're gonna have to wait and see how things filter now with these other streaming networks coming in and stuff, because they might shake everything up.
Over here. Go for it.
Hi, good morning. I have 2 boys in teenage, and they are thinking about their careers, lifetime career. Then, was there any good advice you were given when you were in teenage? It helped a lot. It helped you a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like just like struggle helps. I mean, that's just, you know,
Any struggles?
struggles, yeah, help. Like being, you know, in a way they force you to like step up. You know, I think it's like honestly a proven fact that there's brain synapses in your mind that get like recreated. You can create the like chemistry almost like in your mind. I've read before, and I know I'm butchering it in terms of what you can do if you are able to sort of like face those struggles and then kind of come from it. But you know, so I feel like if you see them dealing with, you know, it's like when I think of when I would want to have kids, I feel like, you know, I would want to be there for them and make them feel safe and know that they have someone to turn to, but at the same time I'd have to try and encourage them to be able to go out there and face it on their own, and be able to you know, come around the corner on their own, because that's a real important life lesson. You know, if we just rely on other people, you know, then we may not know how to do that later in our own lives.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Oh.
Snickers. This question's gonna be great. The answer is no.
So they're gonna be releasing Falcon and Winter Soldier on Disney Plus soon. How different was that from working, I guess, in the movie world versus that one?
I don't know, because I'll find out tomorrow. I mean, starting tomorrow, but I don't know. We haven't done it.
You're excited for that?
I am very excited about it, yeah. No, I am. I have no idea, like, honestly, what to... I think it's going to be really great. I'm very excited about it. I'll let you know in a year.
I'll ask the same question next year.
Right there. At this table, anybody?
So going back to Beat the Reaper, I thought it was, because when I read it, I was actually sitting in a doctor's office waiting for my dad to a procedure. And it was, as I'm reading this, and I'm like, and it's funny because I'm like, oh, this is the inside stuff that goes on behind the scenes in the medical field. But this doctor in particular was not seeing patients till after 7 p.m.
You do not want to get sick in Newark.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Newark.
I think for you, because I grew up in a medical family, so I knew some of the weird stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And when I read the book, I'm like, oh my God, this is totally freaks people out. If they knew this kind of stuff went on in hospitals.
Well, it's funny because the director really said, he was like, I want people, once they see this movie, to be really scared of hospitals. And I was like, well, you're going to do it. You're going to figure it out. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, look, I don't, actually, if you look up the author, you will see that he has spent a lot of time with doctors and in, medical practice and so on. So he has, whether that's, that's fictionalized, I don't know. You'll have to ask him.
From this table. We'll go right there in the back. Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough to see an advanced screening of Last Full Measure.
Where?
They've been going around to different military bases screening the movie. So it comes out in January, so you guys will see it. You did a really good job.
I didn't even know that. Oh, thank you. Well,
and it's about time that you got top billing. So.
No, thank you. No. I appreciate it. Yep,
So I just wanted to know how you prepared for that role and what you remember from that. So it's been a couple years.
Oh man, I mean, that was great because it was like some of the greatest actors that I ever, actually it's the most work I had with Sam Jackson, by the way. We didn't really get a lot of interaction in the Marvel world, but, and he's very different in it, and then William Hurt and Ed Harris and all these people. I mean, it was just, I felt like I could be a student there, and that was kind of what the character was experiencing. He was sort of going down this rabbit hole of, kind of meeting these people, learning about this world, and sort of finding himself kind of changing his own ideology and beliefs about his own life. And so there was a little bit of that happening for me, and it was just kind of interesting to kind of listen to these guys who've been around for years talk about their experience going through Hollywood and, what they've learned and their failures and regrets and things. But I think the reason that movie is important is because it deals very much with, PTSD. It deals with these experiences that sort of happen and then they haunt you forever. And again, it goes back to that thing, like these guys in this movie, for example, spent their whole lives trying to get this guy the Medal of Honor. That's all they did, right? This one event that could have killed them and killed it killed a lot of them, but it could have killed them psychologically, right? Like those things that you talk about could have, overpowered them, right? But like somehow they were able to turn that and use it for themselves towards something better and good, and that's what the movie deals with essentially. Is like this William S. Spitzenbarger, this guy this airman saved all these people who he didn't have to be there, and he was going to die there, and he knew that, and then he saved all these guys, and then these guys had survivor's guilt and had to deal with all these feelings afterwards of being like, it's so crazy, like it's like you want to survive, right, but then you want to feel like, why didn't you let me fucking die, and there's all these complex emotions, and I just know that the actual guys who William Hurt and Sam Jackson and so on, who play them, saw the movie, they loved it, and were crying and having all these experiences throughout it. And I mean, that's why you do that movie. You do it so that they're represented, you do it so that they feel that they're heard, and so I feel like I'm grateful to have been much more like focusing how to get more specific with these two particular ones, which I've gotten closer to, like, you know, the Ronald McDonald's house in New York, and then, you know, our big day out, which is in Romania, and so on. And I've just wanted to get more specific with them, you know, because what I wouldn't want to do is just sort of feel like I'm like lightly touching different things and not really actually contributing anything, you know. So I'm focusing on that for now, and it's interesting. I mean, like you know, I'm probably in a place of relearning how to honestly use social media, you know, because as I said, like, it started out to be very simple for me. I still treat it the same way. I'm just a guy, you know. I'm just a guy out there trying to do the best I can, you know. But maybe I'm not just that anymore. Maybe I'm also like somebody who, you know, you guys want to hear things I have to say. Like, maybe I have to be conscious of that. Maybe I have to be able to step up in other ways, you know. And so that's what it's about now for me. But yeah, I hope to have more specifics for you next time I see you.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a weird question.
Oh no.
I read somewhere.
We've already gone down the deep end, so.
It's not that weird. I read somewhere that you were allergic to cats, and I'm a crazy cat lady, so I was just wondering, like, don't do it on that.
Crazy cat lady can mean a lot of
Are
things.
you to cats, and like, are you something that like you could have a cat, or are you like, no? Sorry.
I grew up with cats. We had when I was a kid, we had a Himalayan cat, which they're so cute. They're like half Persian, half Siamese. And, but I think the coolest cat is the, what's it called? The Scottish Fold. I mean, those are the cats. Have you seen these cats?
Yeah, never
They
seen them.
lie back like humans. They just like plop themselves back like that. It's amazing. But the only problem with cats, I mean, listen, cats are, you know, there's a theory out there that says cats are all psychopaths, right? But yeah, I guess I have to, I don't know, I developed allergies, so I have to, if I were to have a cat, it'd probably be, I'd have a cat because somebody I was with had a cat. I'd be more prone to dogs. I don't know.
Would you ever get like the shots, you know?
Would I contribute that much effort into making it work with a cat? It would have to be a cat that was very interactive, you know. So I mean, if I had a cat, like, I would have to be in his or her life, like, you know, because I heard they can be like dogs, actually. They could be more friendly if you're involved in their life. And they also, but the problem is the sandbox. That's the problem. Because unless you have like an entire house for that sandbox, your whole place is going to be taken over. So then the toilet training will have to be next. So it's a lot of sacrifice. Well, I haven't even lived with a human yet. So, let me see.
Thank you for all your questions. We're going to start with the pictures. As mentioned, we're going to go from table to table, so we'll start this one and go around kind of like the way I was doing questions. So, if this table wants to get up and stand right here.